Hello, everybody, and welcome to Discussing Tabletop. Of course, we have reached March 23rd. It's 2024 still. We haven't gone that much farther into it. We're almost done March. Just one more week. Wow. Almost finished up the third month of the year. Just 2024 is just flying by.
It's been an alright year so far. Well, overall, for me personally,
I feel like it's been both better and worse for me because I've had a lot more little tiny annoying sicknesses, but I've also been like feeling better, like refreshed mentally, I guess, from like, you know.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's going to be hard for me to have a worse year than 2023.
Honestly speaking, the start of 2023 was pretty bad, so I can.
Yeah, you know, it's gonna be hard to top that one.
Yeah. But we got a bunch of topics to talk about today. We do have a deeper discussion topic. Last week's I pushed. We'll see if we can get to it with a lot of topics. I don't know how long these topics are going to take.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Is another week that I like go through stuff, and I cut off a bunch of things, but I'm still like, there's a bunch of big topics out there.
All this stuff is kind of fast, though.
Yeah. So, some interesting ones to talk about. I guess we can kind of start with the D&D based topics, because honestly, you know, there's a bunch of them. D&D Legos. I'll link the D&D Beyond.
No, I only saw the one step. Is there a second one?
I don't know.
I only saw the Inn.
Yeah, the Inn is the one that they're showing off on D&D Beyond, because it was the one that was
something full screened.
Oh, I know it's full screen. There we go. It's the website I'm using to check news.
I don't have this problem because I'm a disembodied voice today.
I don't know why it breaks. I'm just gonna. I'm
because
fixing something else.
It's to save processing power. It's so that way it doesn't.
Correct.
It's so it doesn't use like a bunch of RAM and video RAM and whatever.
Eat your RAM like.
Yeah, when it's
using
behind
all your
something
tabs
else.
open to just Tantus.
Is there a way to turn that off?
No,
Not that I know of.
I think it's just a built-in feature for saving memory.
Not for like Discord and stuff. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something I have to keep. The thing is, having an answer to that problem is great because I didn't know what the problem was.
And now you can go and look on Google to
Yeah.
see if you can just turn it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, knowing Discord, there could be some secret thing you can turn off. They're kind of
Probably.
weird about that.
Absolutely, most likely is.
So yeah, there's a bunch of monsters. This is the link to where they're talking about the inn, I guess it would be, with a red dragon, some characters, a beholder, owlbear, displacer beast. It's a 3.7 thousand piece Lego set.
It's it's $360. It's Lego. It's expensive. You got to sell your arm and your leg for it.
Splurge.
It is. The thing is, like, it is a lot of pieces, though, too. You know, it is nearly.
It's a big.
It's a big
set.
big.
I mean, it's a lot of pieces. It's also a big name. It's mostly why Lego's expensive is the name. That's why some Lego is very expensive and some is pretty cheap.
It's true.
Right.
So this is the one that was leaked. Just to let everybody know.
Yeah, I remember seeing this leak. I was like, that's cool. I'm never gonna be able to afford that. I don't have Lego money.
So apparently they also will have, I guess you can get a adventure to go along with the entire thing.
It's a little level 5 adventure.
Yeah.
You can get it at Lego.com.
Yeah. Oh, yes, if you have to be like a Lego, you have to be like, I guess, signed up for their Lego club or whatever it is to get it.
No,
the adventure's free.
Okay.
Get a physical paper book.
Well, they say Lego Insiders. Does that mean I would think that would be...
That's for a physical paper.
So
oh.
Yeah, and the set. So the set will.
Oh, I see.
And and you'll be able to get the set early, if from Lego stores, but available online like a few days later.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that like you didn't necessarily have to pay to be a Lego Insider. It was their like sign up thing for, you know, I'm a member kind of crap. That's why I was thinking it's still for free. But, you know, The wording sounded like you still had to be like, I'm signed up on Lego to download it. You know, but yeah, paperback. That's kind of interesting. Cider points. Fucking
Yeah.
cider points. Yeah, I mean,
little D&D live play going on with it as well.
yeah, showing
I
off
know 3 of the people in it.
the.
2 voice actors, 1 D&D content creator.
Yeah.
Although I guess you consider Lou Lou Kirk. Lou, like, you consider him a tabletop content creator because he was in a VTM stream game for a long time. It was
So-
LA by Night, I think.
It's neat. It's neat that they put an adventure together to go along with it.
It's fun.
It's a fun
You know,
thing. Yeah.
And we like fun here. You know,
Mhm.
fun is good. Fun costs $360.
I mean, this is one of those ones that I'm like, it's expensive.
That's
but,
fair. It's a big set.
And it's at very least
Let's be
it
real.
very
Things
big.
that are truly fun cost money.
It's very big and very detailed, which is why it costs a lot of money.
yeah. It doesn't feel as certainly bad as like, it's 100 pieces for like $400
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
not like a Lego Star Wars set. Which are like consistently disappointing.
Yes. Not a lot of pieces and very expensive. This is a lot of pieces and very expensive, so
But you're paying for those pieces.
you're paying
you know?
for them actually.
There is an actual
on,
metric
it's,
they use to figure out how much a set is going to cost. I used to know it's like a certain cent per brick
Hmm.
in the set. That's how they figure out their rough pricing.
So there was count them, 2 conventions this past weekend. GaryCon and PAX East. I don't think there was as much for PAX East because that's technically more video game than tabletop, though there is some tabletop
PAX
stuff there.
East is a video game convention. There was also some stuff at the Game Dev Conference, but I see that's already on the docket.
What's the game dev concert?
The
stuff?
Larian thing.
Oh yeah, the Larian thing.
Also spelled wrong.
I will not deny that I spell many things wrong over the course of my
Larian
existence.
wrong.
Look, I'm going to totally correct it somewhere that, it matters, but that's about it. Just saying, it'll okay. Larian, it's not Larian, it's Larian. Damn it. That's why.
Yeah, it's got an A in it.
It's an A, not no. Oh boy.
I would
Anyway,
know that if you played Baldur's Gate 3 Tantus.
I know, I got it at some point soon. There's a couple of smaller topics related to this entire thing of their big panel. Their 50th anniversary panel at GaryCon. Okay. Because they keep doing these and showing off a bunch of crap. Okay.
I didn't even know this was going on.
Be
real.
I remember mentioning GaryCon in the past, but there was no fanfare for this weekend for it going on.
So I've been offline for like half a month because of work.
Yeah, I knew PAX East was going on this weekend, and I was like, man, I'm not there. Also, I'm not there.
PAX East was going on because I have friends who have gone to that, and I'm like, have fun. I don't want to ever go to that again.
I would go if a lot of friends were there. I'm gonna be honest.
I have zero desire to go to a video game convention again.
Last time I went, it was fine, but like, oddly enough, I can say last time I went was the start of the pandemic before everything shut down. So yes, we do have a bunch of things to talk about. There is a free copy of Descent of Lost Caverns of Sazot Chath.
I'm not even going to attempt to say that.
It's an adaptation of the original that's been remastered in the original Quest for the Original Infinite Staircase. So basically, the Quest for the Infinite Staircase, which we're going to talk about today a little bit, they're giving you one of the adventures if you're on D&D Beyond.
That's fine. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's sort of like, hey, check this out. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. They sent shout-outs to their partners who are doing stuff for D&D Beyond, which now includes direct competitors, technically yet not. I guess they are.
Like adjacent competitors.
Adjacent competitors.
Yeah, Cobalt Press I think is the only one here that is a direct competitor.
Well, wouldn't Darrington Press kind of be that too?
Darrington Press, kind of, but the two games they've made do not appeal to the same thing that 5e does.
Okay.
Because they're more role-play and investigation.
But Tome of Beasts, I'll link the also the article on the Tome of Beasts thing here because we're talking about it now.
Also, there's not really competitors anymore in this kind of business.
Yeah, they collaborate a lot.
Yeah.
It has reached this point in time where, honestly speaking, it's probably smarter not to try to compete and just work together because
I mean, I feel like they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah,
I say ever
but
since
Wizards.
I'd say
really?
with 5e specifically.
Yeah, but they tried to not do that like
last
year. So
Plus, it was a little rocky.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying yes, it's been this way for most of 5e, but
just changed the status quo and it lit the industry on fire.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're cutting back to more of a status quo, but it's also it's that side-eyeing Wizards constantly now. But no.
Wait, so what happened? Is it the people
The
got
OGL,
burned from
the OGL fiasco? They basically wanted to own everything, kind of.
Torch to the industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, it basically made everyone in the industry be like, we're gonna do our own thing now.
And now they are probably pretty relatively good deals. Because I'm not gonna lie, Tome of Beasts up on D&D Beyond is good for D&D Beyond, for using it, for another source on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
For the people that are still using D&D Beyond a lot, which is plenty.
A good number of people
there's
use
a surprising number of people who use it.
It is a useful tool.
From what I've heard, is it's in some ways better if you're playing D&D without a tabletop thing. If you're doing Theater of the Mind online,
yes,
it's very good.
It's also good for in-person games because you have not a paper sheet, you have a digital sheet that you can reference.
Yeah, everyone has their own little computer, but they can.
Because everyone has a phone or a laptop or a tablet these days.
Yeah, I've heard that's also good use for it. So it's got its uses. I don't really care, but
it's not something I would ever need to use.
So yeah, it looks like they talked about all their tabletop people that are doing stuff for D&D Beyond, plus a lot of the other people they're partnered with. They've got Darrington Press, Dungeon Dudes, Ghostfire Game, Hit Point Press.
Always get a batch of Ghostfire games.
Mm-hmm. Grimhall Layers of Aetheris is going to be up on D&D Beyond. Other groups are Beatles and Grimm's, Converse. Oh my god, I forgot the sneakers.
Yeah,
Lego
Converse
Group.
Sneakers, baby.
Rayan Spooner.
I don't know who this is.
Launched a line of Aloha shirts. It's shirt people. Wow.
Oh, it's a shirt company.
Cirrus Dice and then WizKids.
The shirts are ugly.
I wouldn't. They are.
I wouldn't wear that. There are a lot of things I wouldn't wear that.
That's a hell of a shirt to wear.
Oh, the sneakers.
If they made something that was slightly business casual, I'd wear it.
The sneakers are also pretty ugly.
Oh my. Someone will probably buy them. I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Sneaker people are insane. Also, as far as sneakers go, these are cheap.
Yeah, actually, I mean, $80 for the one with the D&D Dragon logo on it. That's kind of fun.
Makes me kind of question the quality of them.
The Platinum Edition of Vecna Eye of Ruin, which includes aluminum cards.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool, but it feels like just another special edition.
It is a special edition.
I know. I'm always mixed bags on special editions.
Yeah, I think they're weird, but I feel like
slippery slope. It's a slippery slope, and then the next thing you know, you're doing 27 different ones where you never know what comes with each of them, and then your Magic Gathering or a video game industry.
Video game industry where you have to have where at one point you need an infographic to figure out what was in what edition.
Yes. Anyway. So yeah, hopefully more stuff from a lot of these people would come up. Cobalt Press has a lot of things, more of the Tome of Beasts they have or other material, because
Did they announce a solid release date for their actual, like D&D 1 or D&D 2024 yet?
No, I don't think
What's
so.
that? I don't know anything about that. There's a solid release date for such a weird and interesting thing that they have some kind of name for.
I don't know.
Well,
Is there?
they have said. I think they
Oh,
said
it's this year
third
at some
quarter
point, right?
2024.
There was like a
they're
leak
shooting
of a
for?
date, but then they're like, nah, that's not going to be the date or something.
No. They said they're shooting for, I think, third quarter 2020.
It was like September, I think, was the original time to come out. Something like that.
That'd be fourth quarter. I heard third quarter.
It might be August then, around Gen Con, maybe.
It does have a release date.
Oh, does it finally?
does it?
September 17th. It's the apparent release date.
November?
September. For that
September,
player's handbook,
okay.
and then the DMG.
Oh,
is
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
November.
I remember making the joke about it. We'd seen it was September because I'm like, they're putting it out on my birthday just to taint it.
And then the Monster Manual won't be until February 2025.
Yeah.
I knew there was gonna.
Staggered release.
DMG, did they have a date for that as well?
November 12th is the DMG, which is the one I'm the most interested in because the current DMG
Same.
is like ass.
Same. I'm gonna buy all three. I'm just
I
gonna
will probably
go ahead.
buy maybe a player's handbook and a DMG because I don't actually own a 5th edition player's handbook.
Mm.
Yeah, I plan to buy them just because, I don't know, I feel like... Well, one, I don't know, it's just D&D, I kind of want to, I just want to own
They look
D&D.
nice. They look nice on a shelf, you know.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't wait till I have my own apartment with shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, all my books are just in a giant stack.
I should get a second shelf. Mine's filled. But
Well, they've announced the thing I'm actually interested in that I knew was coming out. The biographical book about the making of the original
Yes.
D&D edition.
They
That's
have
what I'm really interested
talked about a lot more, where it's like
in. That is awesome.
There's a lot of stuff, first draft, letters, all kinds of notes in there. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
Other things that they have announced is if you pre-order, apparently their Vecna adventure, you get a pre-order adventure one-shot that goes along with it for third-party characters.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That one I don't like.
Nest of the Eldritch Eye. Vecna, Nest
I
of the
don't
Eldritch
like that we have pre-order one-shots now.
Eye. Yeah. If you pre-order your digital copy of Vecna, Eye of Ruin, you receive this prequel adventure as a perk. I guess you can also get it
For $5?
for $5 on.
Oh yes, we've made DLC for our adventure book.
They really did make DLC for their adventure book.
I mean, it's
so
more
strange.
it's more like extra content. It's like
Yeah.
it's not like a DLC because it's kind of like if a game made a side adventure with a different character.
Yeah, it's
based in the same kind of thing.
it's a prequel. It's a prequel that you don't need to run. You can just jump into the adventure without it. You know, it's just if you.
Oh, is it a prequel?
Yes, because it's third level, and the normal one starts out at a higher level, I believe.
mean,
I'm checking.
It's a prequel adventure, it does say, though, for Vecna Eye of
okay.
Ruin.
Vecna Eye of Ruin. Vecna Eye of Ruin is.
Okay, so you're right. It is DLC.
Yeah.
Level 10 to 20. For
Again,
Eye of Ruin.
It isn't a necessary DLC, at least, but it is very DLC.
I mean, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, but it's fine.
I really don't care. I'm
You want
like,
to spend $5?
I
on an
wasn't-
adventure that doesn't
Look,
matter.
yeah,
I'm gonna
because
say-
it's just. It's like if you're gonna buy it, you might as well get the other thing for free, and if you're not going to, who cares?
I wasn't going to get the Vecna book anyway, I wasn't that interested in it, so.
I have
I'm
very low interest in pre-written adventure paths because I want to run my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of the same. I want to run an adventure path just to see if it makes a ton less work for me because I'm kind of very particular
It
with
might.
stuff. So it might be worth doing at some point. But
Certainly there have been plenty, like, that's the thing is also, like, I would give, we haven't seen the Vecna adventure. Like,
Yeah, we haven't seen anything about it.
let it come out, let people try it who are wanted to play it, and they can tell us then, is it
Is it
really
good?
good? You know, is it some...
the next Curse of Strahd or is it the next Tiamat adventure?
Yeah.
Whatever that one was called. The one that was like really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a mixed bag for
I
D&D Adventure Paths, definitely.
I would say 5e has more like bad to okay adventures than okay to good adventures.
Yeah.
They've gotten better with writing though over the years. They have gotten a lot better. The first couple were really bad, but around the time Curse of Strahd, they started to get a lot better.
Yeah, the one module I've run was Curse of Strahd, and I basically reworked large chunks of it to fit like my party's backstory and stuff. And that didn't bother me. What made things easier was having maps, because I'm someone who wants maps for everything. And that's why I think Adventure Paths would be easier.
Yeah,
I don't mind reworking a bunch of stuff. That's actually not hard in my opinion.
Yeah.
Someone who has adapted a Pathfinder adventure to 5e, yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. We also have a full list of the remastered adventures, which I don't know if that's a real good way to call it. It's just they took like old first and second edition adventures and made them for 5th edition.
Update them. That's fine, I think.
The Quest of
I would say that is by definition a remaster.
Yeah, I guess that would be a remaster then. We have the full list of the adventures: The Lost City, When a Stars Falls, Beyond the Crystal Cave, Pharaoh, The Lost Caverns of Sujanka, and Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
I've heard of the Barrier Peaks adventure. I've never heard of the other ones.
The Lost Caverns, I had heard about it, but I'd honestly forgotten completely about it until they mentioned it at PAX Unplugged last year, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot that even existed. And then, yeah, I've heard of Expedition Barrier Peaks, but the other
I've never heard of I've never heard of these first 4, but I've also didn't start playing D&D until the tail end of 3.5.
These are very early on, though, too.
These are like second edition.
These are actual second edition.
These
not
are like the proper second edition of D&D, which is often called first edition.
Yeah, because it was AD&D second edition is where I got started in, which is technically an update for AD&D. It was D&D 2.5.
I probably would have played D&D earlier, but my school banned D&D because it was satanic. But we were allowed to play Cyberpunk, which is better? ?
We were able to play World of Darkness games with D&D being banned.
Oh yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories of that. Honestly, I just couldn't get people to play it. What's funny is like I kept trying to get my friends to try it because I wanted to play D&D basically like my whole life, and none of my friends ever would. And then everyone I knew got into it without me, and I'm like, you guys are assholes.
I ran a D&D club in high school.
I ran a D&D club in college.
That's fair.
There was a
because college is when I finally got people to play.
There was a tabletop and role-playing club in my high school, which I joined in then. My brother had been part of it also, years ahead of me. And, like, you know, I didn't play role-playing games at first. I started with Magic playing there, but eventually got into role-playing games again, you know. And then third edition came out, so we started playing that. Not at the place.
Fun little side story. The first, game I got into at college, I basically heard people talking about D&D, and I walked up and said, "Are you playing a game? Can I join?" Because I so wanted to try it. I've never really played.
Yeah.
And they let me. And it was nice.
Yeah, I will always remember, I started, after the club, we would go to one of our friends' place, and then we would play D&D, because we couldn't at the club. We played Magic and switched over.
Satanic Panic, baby.
Mm-hmm. It still wasn't in fact. I think it's still banned from our charter. It was last time I was there, but that was like a couple decades ago at this point in time.
I mean, there's also a thing where it might still be like on the ban list, but it's not enforced anymore. That kind of stuff happens a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there were other games that were on that ban list. I think it was like D&D, Spellfire, and one other one. Because Spellfire is just D&D the card game. And one other one just because it sucked. You know? It was terrible.
It's the absurdity, like, if you like, think D&D's not that bad. We were allowed to play Cyberpunk 2020, and if you have a Cyberpunk 2020 book, on the 4th page is basically a naked woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my elementary school banned Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pokemon was banned at my school.
Pokemon got banned. It was
Pokemon
D&D
got banned
Pokemon.
Here's the thing. Pokemon got banned not because it was bad, but because people were stealing and selling cards.
Stealing and counterfeiting cards. That's why it got banned.
They're like,
and it was
this is actually a crime.
It was Spellcraft that got banned because it sucked. the D&D card game.
Not really missing anything at that point.
It's an interesting game to try out. It's not good though. You know, if you're interested in lore of collectible card games, there's a D&D one. It's playable.
My favorite is the Munchkin one that just kind of vanished.
Yeah, it died. They just stopped doing it. Anyway, we do have some sad news, though. Speaking of early days of D&D's past, I've got the Dicebreakers article, and there was the one you linked.
I forget which one I linked, but it was
the Games Developer Twitter.com post.
Yeah.
Has a link to an obituary there, too. So unfortunately, one of the creators that helped out with D&D design early days from TSR, Jim Ward, has passed away. He was 72, you know, so getting up there in age. Yeah. He worked at TSR through a lot of that early age until the mid-90s, so about the time that things kind of ended for TSR, so he was there through a lot of it. He is a character in the Forgotten Realms setting, the wizard Dracovin.
He is. Yep.
And yeah. So yeah, he helped out Gary Gygax and the other people early on, and yeah, so.
Also the creator of Pool of Radiance, which is a very good book franchise.
He also co-created Gamma World with Gary Chiquette.
Yeah.
So if you've ever done anything with Gamma World. So yeah. And he's worked on a number of other tabletop-related things since then. Here and there on what it looked like.
Very, very classic video game, Pool of Radiance.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, Pool of Radiance, man. That's a blast from the past, Pool of Radiance.
Game I have played a decent amount of on my dad's NES.
I saw... It was probably maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I remember...
Pool of Radiance is my first D&D experience because it's based on AD&D.
Yeah. Well, it was 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember who it was, but I remember I saw someone who decided I think marathon early DOS D&D games because they were selling them on Good Old Games.
Oh, yeah.
Radiance is...
Dog sells a lot of that stuff. That's the only place you can get this kind of stuff.
But you can get Pool of Radiance still, and so I think someone...
It's a very interesting piece of game history. All the old RPGs are.
Yeah. Watching it reminds me... The combat reminds me a lot of some of the in-game combat of... Because I played I had already done some D&D stuff, but my real first full playthrough of anything was Warriors of the Eternal Sun for Sega Genesis, where I actually I was able to get into a lot of the mechanics and stuff a lot more than just trying out a few times with my brother and stuff like that, you know, and that led down the path. So, you know, unfortunately lost another person from that time period. Good person to remember, you know. We have to, you know, keep them in mind and you know, keep in mind the great work they did for the industry. So.
Yep.
I'm going to link a PC gaming article.
PC gaming?
I know, this just doesn't really fit with our entire thing, except it's about Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3. They're not doing that anymore.
Honestly, fair.
So I read that. It didn't seem like they said they weren't going to. They said it's highly unlikely they will.
I believe that the CEO has said they're not doing Baldur's Gate specifically anymore.
'Cause this article here was from 3 months ago. It looks like.
Yeah, this is an old article. Let me pull up
because
the recent.
There was one from, you were saying, this weekend or this week or something.
This weekend was from the Game Dev Conference. It is an IGN article.
Okay.
I'll post it in.
Yeah, I mean, so I know their contacts were fired. They basically said like, yeah, we're not sure how we would make another one.
Yeah, so at this point at
they
GDC,
didn't say
they just GDC they had said they are not doing Baldur's Gate 3 DLCs. They were doing one. They didn't know how to do it, so they just scrapped it, and they're not going to do a Baldur's Gate 4.
Yeah.
The next game is going to be something completely original. I have my hopes for what it's going to be. I'm not going to say it because it's not. It's kind of whatever. My opinion doesn't matter on that shit.
Okay, so they will do more D&D, just not like a Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I think they're still open to doing D&D, but I think it's unlikely because I know people who've worked with Hasbro. Not a lot of people like working with Hasbro after it.
Yeah.
That was my impression. It was basically like, it's unlikely they're open to it, but it's unlikely given that the people who let them do that are gone. And like they're just like having to convince more people to do that is going to be a big.
It's sort of like all these great contacts we had that helped us build this great crazy thing. You just got rid of all of them. Okay.
I find that, and here's where I'm like, literally Hasbro. One of the things that gave them positive income was Baldur's Gate 3. And then they go and fire everyone who worked on it.
Corporations don't know what they're doing.
Corporations don't think like people. Corporations think in a way of, how is our board gonna make all of the money?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunately that they don't. The people in charge aren't really smart people. They're rich people that want to get richer.
No, they're smart, but they use their business sense not for the benefit of others or their company, really.
That's right. This is the way I think of it. Benefit of themselves rather than the company as a real whole.
It really depends. So I have talked with some people. Some are assholes, some are fine. And honestly, the thing is, the better ones will be all like, "Hey, this part's doing well. Let's help it grow. This part's doing bad. Let's trim it.
I guess the thing.
And Hasbro did not do that, which is a bad business decision, even from like everyone's perspective, including people at Hasbro.
The other thing is, Hasbro's a publicly traded company, so they also have investors they listen to.
I think it's just the thing that, like,
but at the same time,
we hear about the worst decisions of like people like Hasbro and stuff like that. So it's sort of like, it stands.
Yeah. So the reason I actually am not certain investors had a lot of say in this decision, because the impression I got was we're trying to save money right at the end of the year. Let's fire a bunch of people, and so that way our investors won't be mad at us. Is what it more felt like, just from what I understand about business, is that it's very much this very honestly not a good decision.
Lightning, it's 90 million. 90 million, not 9. 90 million is still pretty good of
90 million is a incomprehensible amount of money for most people on this planet.
And I think that is on top of like whatever budget and stuff and advertisements, all that stuff you did on top of it. That's a you earned back your money plus 90 million.
That's their profit.
Yeah.
So I'm telling, like, honestly, just I'm saying it's like Baldur's Gate 3, and like, I mean, again, Wizards was the only thing that was positive. A large portion of that was Baldur's Gate 3. Another large portion was Magic. Another large, but like Baldur's Gate 3 was actually fairly good for them, and then they go and fire all the people. So that's the thing is even from a business perspective, it was a bad decision. It's just someone was panicking and said, "I know how we can save money. Let's fire as many people as possible."
I want to clarify, and this could be the CEO of Larian just being like, hey, putting some fires out because the GDC speech did ruffle some feathers. He has said it's not because of Wizards that they've made this decision. They made it independently. They probably just want to make something with their own stuff without corporate intervention.
I think it's the thing that, like, it didn't ingratiate them more losing that team they were working with. It wasn't a major factor in their decision, but it made it like sort of like a little bit more. Probably would have been like a little bit more hesitant to keep going, so they like considered a lot more. And I guess corporate meddling. That is a good example of corporate meddling. They might like we are our own group. We want to do our stuff our way.
Larian is technically an indie studio because they don't use publishers. So with Baldur's Gate 3, they had a publisher looking at all their stuff and probably saying no on some things.
I mean, it sounds like they were actually very.
To my understanding, it seems like they're just like make a thing.
So
and basically, and I think they're just basically like they know they've worked with enough people at least to know that that's not going to happen again if they get a new team in.
Absolutely not.
So and that's why they're like, we're not gonna hold our breath, so we're just gonna not put effort into it.
Yeah, the people that gave them like it's like the people that they were guaranteed the people that gave them carte blanche are gone, so they don't have that backup anymore.
I very much look forward to seeing what Larian does next. I have loved every Larian game I've played.
Same.
It probably won't be Divinity Original Sin 3 because they are technically, I guess, it says part of the interview in IGN they were working on that, but in latest things they've said, they're working on something else first.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's just sort of that's bubbling in the background of something that they're working on.
Absolutely.
I would love for them to make a new, like, universe. I think they could. I mean, Divinity's interesting. But...
leans into Mike. I want a sci-fi game by Larian.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Awesome.
The last thing I'm going to say is, if there is a Baldur's Gate 4, which there probably will be, it's probably going to be compared to Baldur's Gate 3, and I do not think it will stack up.
I mean, like, it's not literally no game can compare to what Baldur's Gate 3 accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, I disagree. I just don't think there's going to be there hasn't been in a long time, and there won't be again anytime soon.
I think it's its own little niche that we can't get a game that can compare to it. A game that has the same kind of impact, certainly we could probably find in the future. But like
only other game I can think of that has the same or had the same impact that Baldur's Gate 3 had is Skyrim.
Yeah.
Because when Skyrim came out, it changed the landscape of how people make RPGs.
And I think there have been some moments like that, and we will probably see some more in the future, but again, like, it's that thing of, we can't compare, and maybe we shouldn't, but unfortunately, I feel like that's going to be the thing is, Baldur's Gate 4, whatever form it takes, is going to be compared, unfortunately, and that's just...
No, it's not going to be the same.
I
agree with Lightning. I think Larian should make a Cyberpunk game, but not actual Cyberpunk, like a Shadowrun. Kind of universe for this magic.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I just.
Shadowrun.
But also not Shadowrun, because Shadowrun is like incredibly depressing half the time.
It unfortunately is.
It also has way too much weird stuff in it, like the astral plane shit.
It's there. Anyway, so we'll see what Larian does. We'll see when and if we get a Baldur's Gate 4. We're probably many years out from that, at very least. So,
absolutely.
But yeah. But no more... I guess the last thing they were majorly working on was like making it a decent...
Wait, there was another one. There was another game that changed everything, Minecraft.
Ah. Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty of... I would say there's plenty of games that changed everything. Like, goddamn freaking original Super Mario Brothers did, because it rescued the video game industry.
I really want to get down to, like, and you can stop me here, because it's a rant I can have for a while. I really want to get down to it. The nature of video game writing changed the day that The Last of Us was released. Because nothing comparable to that kind of story had ever been put into a video game before.
I unfortunately agree. I'm not necessarily a fan. Like,
I don't like the game. I don't like the game at all. I think it has like some of the worst gameplay imaginable, but damn, it's a good story. I was never going to play the second game. I saw the story of the second game, and I'm like, I understand what they did, but I'm also like,
Yeah, I understand why like it's so divisive, the storytelling elements, and like I did see someone talk about this
Hey, chat.
last
If you
week.
want to experience The Last of Us and have a good time, watch the TV show. Steve's show is amazing.
And I with the storytelling elements in the second game, I don't know if they can recreate
I
that.
think the second game was like a big fuck up, personally.
Again, like
I understand
listening to someone talk about the storytelling elements they were actually using and why they use them, it's understandable, but it's also then like it's like I don't think it was a good choice for the way even with the way they were displaying their world, it was a different direction combined with very storytelling elements for it, you know. Anyway,
I can talk about video game writing for hours because I'm a writer.
Yeah. Momo, you had linked me the Dune Humble, but it ended apparently.
Oh, the Dude on Humble ended. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, there's Pathfinder one that's up.
There's this Pathfinder one, the Guns of Alkenstar bundle, which is if you want to do the Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path, it's right there.
Apparently, it's good. I've heard good things.
I'm assuming that's
also a Warhammer Fantasy one up.
This
that's
is
2E one. It's 2E. Right?
Yeah,
it's 2E. It's 2E. It's they don't have the updated core stuff. It looks like with this bundle
because
yet.
this adventure was released before the updates were made.
They're not going to. They're not going to go back and update their old things. That's they're not.
Well, I
going
mean,
to,
like
they're
it has a
gonna
copy of
continue
the.
from
It has a copy of the original
of the old
bestiary, you know, and the old Game Master Guide,
yeah.
you know. But those are generally they're fine. They'll work for you if you want to check out. You can always get the GM core. The bestiary core isn't out yet. I think that's coming out soon.
Yes, it's coming out on the 27th.
That's very soon. So we'll probably talk about that next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, supports charity. I'm always glad when Paizo puts together these.
There's like a couple of RPG ones up right now. I'll just go through it real fast. There's the Pathfinder one. There is the Avatar role-playing game one is currently up.
Oh.
And there's the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game currently up.
I keep forgetting they have a role-playing game.
Three. It's like apparently pretty good.
Yeah. So
you got 3 RPGs you can pick from. I really recommend the Avatar Legends RPG. I think it's
also if you want to play something that is still got that feeling of very old edition RPGs where it's kind of more meat grindery, but it is slightly updated to make it a little bit more playable. They do have the Dungeon Crawl Classic / Mutant Crawl Classic Mega Bundle too. Like Dungeon Crawl Classic, I don't think it's a bad system. It does recreate a lot of that older like AD&D style, but it's also still a very brutal system. It's like this is a brutal system. Characters will die. Expect that, you know.
Indeed.
But if you're interested in trying something that's a little more classic, that's there too. So.
Hey, maybe that'll be the one I run because I now own it.
So we are getting a new edition of Age of Sigmar from Warhammer. Apparently, its narrative focus will shift towards the Skaven.
Dope. The Ratman.
Yeah, the Ratman.
Age of Sigmar is their Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, it's the newer version of Warhammer Fantasy.
If you
had very mixed reception.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you could say if you want to is what Vermintide.
Vermintide is the cutoff of old fantasy and Sigmar story.
Okay. Because I knew the Vermintide games were linked to it, but I didn't know how much the storytelling.
I believe Vermintide is the cutoff of like, this is where old fantasy ends. This is where Sigmar begins. Because old fantasy, the world dies and everything resets.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's the whole idea. Is that Warhammer, like all their things, they basically run a story and basically here's what's going on in the universe. Here's how everything's going. Here's what all the books are going to be about. You know, and then they're like, okay, everyone got effed over.
Everyone died.
Now let's start over.
I don't mind Age of Sigmar. I think it has a lot of good stuff now, but when it came out, it was very bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know enough about like the differences and stuff. Like I like Warhammer stuff, but I never have paid that
Age of
close attention to,
Sigmar
like, the
is a miniatures game that launched without a point system.
It
didn't originally have a point system.
That doesn't. How does that work? The whole idea is that you have army systems.
It was very rough.
Each faction.
But the point system they have now is really good, so it's gotten better over the years.
There'll be free downloads for each faction. So if you want to check out your stuff, they have a new way to play called Spearhead. I'm not going to read into it because I don't know how the old way to play necessarily very well. But if you are a Warhammer fan, that'd be a thing to look into.
So
and
basically, this is them redoing
the third edition of the Sigmar, I want to say.
Yeah, and there's two main sides to their story: the Stormcast Eternals and the Skaven. It looks like of the current storyline.
Makes sense. The classic story.
And it does seem. This is the thing that I think they they evolve through tournaments and gameplay stuff
the story. It's a narrative miniatures game.
I mean, I didn't realize that until I saw someone talk about 40K a little bit and talked about this one battle for a planet that was apparently canon, but it was a thing that people just did in tournaments for a while, and it was this epic battle of every faction going in there. I'm like, yeah, that's a weird story to tell, but I guess it's a thing that everybody showed up with their factions and played through it, and I guess that's an interesting way of building their story. So. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that's
dope as hell.
Part of how they did it.
What it is.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's incorporating your community into telling the story.
If only this company was nicer to its community. That's a different story. If only Games Workshop didn't suck.
Games Workshop.
Yeah, I feel like now Hasbro's going that direction.
I feel like Hasbro still got a little bit of work to do before they're as bad as Games Workshop.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said going that direction, not there.
So it's not going to take much longer, but
No, if they continue to fire people and replace them with yes men, it will get there very fast.
So we do have a PDF of a Fallout role-playing game book.
Hell yeah!
So it's Fallout role-playing game Wanderer's Guidebook that Modifius has put out for us.
I love that they're supporting this. This is my favorite role-playing system.
236-page book, so a pretty meaty book. New Origins, Brotherhood Outcast, Child of Adam.
Played Assaultatron.
You can play an Assaultatron, a lot more perks, things for scavenging in the Wasteland, I guess new equipment, vehicles. Here's the thing. Vehicles is so nice, and I'm sorry... there's so much that people in Fallout rebuild, and they don't fucking rebuild a goddamn car.
You want to know what game in the Fallout series has a car in it? Fallout 2. You want to know why Bethesda games don't have vehicles in it? Because the creation engine can't handle it.
Of course it can't. That's why they stick to, the vertibirds and stuff, because it's just a flying thing, It doesn't have to, do as much. The
vertibirds in Fallout 4 are the funniest thing, because it's 2 shotgun blasts shoot them down. God. They're made of paper.
And they are giving us stuff from hostile things from both East and West Coast, so they are at least giving you both coastlines for the pre-existing stuff we have.
I imagine Bethesda was like, hey, use the East Coast setting first, because that's our setting. Mothman.
I just seeing that you can get a Chrysler Cherry Bomb, which I know is one of the crazy cars, and just have a car working and drive fucking somewhere.
That was the car from Fallout 2 was the Chrysler Cherry Bomb.
Yeah, it's just fucking drive somewhere. You can rebuild so much technology, you can't fix a goddamn car.
It's just the unfortunate thing of Bethesda's engines can't handle vehicles. People have tried to mod vehicles in. It doesn't really work very well. That's the biggest... I'm going to shout out Starfield, painfully mid-game. Biggest disappointment is it did not have cars in it.
Oh, gosh. That's not very sci-fi.
Most painfully mid-game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cars are powered by... So, in Fallout 2, they're powered by energy cells. not fusion cores. Fusion cores are a Fallout 4 creation. And I think they have a very bad... You're going to have to stop me because I could talk about Fallout for hours. But, side tangent, fusion cores are the dumbest thing in the Fallout universe that were made into a gameplay element because it physically makes 0 sense that the Brotherhood of Steel has enough fusion cores to last indefinitely when a fusion core dies in like a fucking hour walking in power armor.
Making the power armor not just
power
power armor
is so...
Well,
power armor is both
the whole...
super cool in Fallout 4 and dumb because it doesn't make sense that it functions when fusion cores burn out so fast.
And here's the thing: the whole point of fusion is that it runs for like ever.
Yeah. It's
so I don't.
I'm going to use a very
I would have preferred.
Very old journalism term. It's the ludodissonant narrative stuff, right? Where the gameplay does not match the story or lore because they have to balance shit.
Yeah.
So it just kind of needs to be hand waved. It lasts for a very long time, but
anyway,
for gameplay reasons, they can't have that.
Yeah.
Apparently, in lore, they're apparently supposed to last for years. Yeah, that makes sense. Again,
Gameplay,
I totally get why they do that kind of stuff for gameplay purposes, but
it doesn't. It doesn't match the lore, and they can't match the lore. And it feels
fine because balance should come first.
Mm-hmm. I am fine with balance coming first, but there should be figure out the balance and then come up with a really great storytelling element. Feels like they were just lazy.
Well, Fallout 4...
There's only so much you can do with that.
Fallout 4 is an interesting game in the fact that it feels like they built a sandbox and like, shit, we have to put stuff in this now.
Pretty much. It's honestly, knowing game development, it's really, you do what you can.
Yeah.
There's a deadline. You get features, and people try and make things work, but not every team is working perfectly together, and you have to make this all work in a very rough fashion to make it. It's a big thing. So I understand. You just have to suspend your disbelief there.
It's very silly and funny.
Well, we can talk about something that was very interesting because it's, I guess, tabletop lore adjacent, which is a very interesting book. Welcome to Arkham, which this is the thing that relates to the lore of the Arkham Horror series of tabletop games, which there are a bunch of them, set in that same kind of universe as Arkham Horror. And it's interesting they're coming up with like a story version, or like a lore story version of it that these people have put out, A
lore compendium is good to have if you have any kind of setting.
Yeah. Granted, I think it's we were talking about an RPG version of Arkham Horror just like a week or two ago, I think.
Yeah.
Which is something new. So, was this planned around this? Was this something they were else was doing? Because again, it's interesting, but up until now, it's what, Arkham Horror, the board game, or Elder Sign, the dice game, or some of the other ones related to it.
I feel like these are the RPG and the sort are related. Because it would make sense. They probably started these at the same time.
And honestly speaking,
or started the RPG first and hey, let's make a lore book too.
And honestly speaking, you could probably do something like take Call of Cthulhu and be like, I want to have this in Arkham because it's another thing related to there, and now you can.
Man, I have this really handy lore book behind me called The Complete Collection of H.P. Lovecraft.
True. But so I thought it was an interesting thing that we're having coming out, a definite guide to the world of Arkham Horror. So talks about
this kind of stuff is great.
Yeah, 115 locations, 500 illustrations in there, so a lot of art too, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
We have a successful Kickstarter RPG, if you're interested in it, for Zweihander Reforged. I think I talked about Zweihander many, many years ago on this show. So it's kind of a new chapter, new edition. They've hit their goal, and it's a D100 system. That's supposed to be more a crunchy system, so it's similar to D&D Pathfinder. All-in-one player's handbook, game mastery guide, and bestiary. It's gothic horror, low magic, survival, dose of Eldritch. I think I've certainly talked... Again, I think I'm pretty sure I've talked about this game before.
I am really sad because I was going to be in a Zweihander game, and I had to do stuff that day, so I couldn't.
Stinks.
So I can't really tell you what it's like, unfortunately.
Yeah. But again, seeing that we're getting a new edition of it, that's always good. It's updates, it's probably been enough years at this point in time.
I think it came out in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah, that's enough years, After 5 or 6 years, you usually could, if you wanted to, come up with a new edition, and I ain't going to complain, because normally there's a lot of changes to the industry, and also your system, and you can upgrade.
Yeah.
And especially if this is like a first one, like this is their, or first, second edition, I feel like can also be a lot shorter, because you learn everything that's wrong after a few years of the first.
You do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So... It's not going to be delivered until 2025 is the estimation for even the digital book. So
Makes sense.
It's way out there. But it's sort of like, hey,
start his work.
It's, hey, we've got some basics of it. We're working on it. Would you like to get on it? If you want to and you're interested in it, the Kickstarter's up. So, yeah. Though, we can talk about something that's a really interesting charity, too. Which has been brought to my attention, and I'll link their site here. The RPG Creators Relief Fund Incorporated. As a motorcycle racing by, it's 25 miles per hour out there.
Vroom, vroom.
They're not traveling at that.
Oh, never mind. I should probably figure out when my
motorcycles
back is supposed to be here.
Yeah. It's a non-profit charitable organization funded to provide financial assistance to tabletop role-playing games creators suffering from hardships due to medical emergencies, natural disasters, or other catastrophic situations. So, it's specifically I guess, for people that are in need, that are in the industry, that it could come up, that does a lot of work. It's kind of interesting idea for it, because certainly... There are a lot of low-end people working in the industry now that actually do put out a lot of stuff, and
there are a lot of basically equivalent of indie developers.
Yes.
Who, actually put out a lot of good content,
and
but still also don't reach very far because there's they don't have the ability to post ads.
Yeah, and when stuff happens to them, usually that just is very ruinous. I mean, honestly, yeah.
Honestly, it can kill their entire project, and it can sit, and then it can disappear.
Yeah, so it's a charity to be a safety net for people that are in the industry and in that position. If you're people get to dire need some help. This is a way that I guess you don't have to rely on something like a GoFundMe or something. You got a charity that can kind of a nonprofit help you out. So it's an interesting idea. And it's not a terrible idea for the industry. It's not... We talk about a lot of charities. There are certainly a lot out there that, help out people in need in various ways. Things like, working on cancer and diseases and stuff. But, these are people that if you're a fan of the industry and you want to make sure these people that are creating all this stuff for you, in case something goes really wrong... are safe and can continue working without, the threat of horrible medical emergencies or natural disasters. It's not bad to support them here, So,
it's also
again,
kind of interesting. It's also, they have their financials. It's interesting to see their growth. They've actually grown a lot in the last 2 years. This company. Because 2014, they started back in 2014. It's 0, 150, 1,700, 2,500, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 7,000, 18,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice.
they're starting to. So that was the last 2 years is
They've been finding
sorry,
their...
I should clarify. The numbers I was listing was the amount they've given out to people.
Yeah. Again, you gotta remember, a non-profit is not necessarily that they don't have money giving to people that work for them or earn money. It's just they don't have a profit quota. All the extra money that would be going into them beyond paying the bills goes to people. So
they don't have investors who they're trying to make. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I mean, they literally have their financials. You could look at them if you want to check them.
Yep.
Or file a date. No. Vet number.
So, I'm going to link the Dicebreakers article for this one. I'll try to look up the actual site, but I thought the Dicebreaker article talked about it. It's another preview for the Halo Miniatures War game, and I wanted to talk about it because they mentioned a bunch of different modes of play. And I don't know a lot about Halo, but I do find it interesting that they are going for the Slayer, Oddball, Capture the Flag. I'm looking this up, Halo Flashpoint. Like, I don't know enough about.
Okay. Hi, I can explain things. I played a lot of Halo in my day.
I played a whole.
Slayer is, I think, just free for all.
Yep.
Here's the link to their website.
Oddball's a weird one. Oddball's like a free for all, but you got to go find a skull on the map.
Okay. It's also you get points while holding the skull.
Yeah.
And your goal is to get a certain amount of points, but so if people try and kill for the skull, or the ball. Yeah, it's an odd ball because it's the skull. Yeah. So you kill someone for the skull, but you can't do anything for the skull except smack people with it.
Yeah. You get a little melee.
And
then capture the flag.
Capture the flag. Yeah, capture the flag. Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting that they are specifically building in a lot of these modes that are in the video games into the tabletop miniature game.
Cool because in the current lore of Halo, as much as I dislike current Halo, the multiplayer is basically training for Spartans, it's virtual training for Spartans.
Interesting. So yeah.
That's fun. I didn't realize that was the lore.
Yep, they built the multiplayer into the lore. It's like VR training or something.
Okay, so so Spartans are back in action. They're no longer I know
they're more ethical now.
Master
they're no
Chief
longer
was the last one at the time.
He was one of the last ones. They introduced another one who named Spartan Locke in Halo 5, and it was really weird, and then they erased him from the series because no one liked him. But basically, Spartans are more ethical now. They're no longer kidnapped children. They are volunteers, usually from the ODST.
Positive, no longer kidnapped children.
It's no longer horrifically unethical.
I forgot. I actually completely forgot that that's how they got
They no longer steal children.
I mean, were they just listening to Warhammer? Because isn't that how they make the your Space Marines of Warhammer? You kidnap children,
or kidnapped orphans and children,
kidnapped...
and then. Well, it's even worse. They would clone the child and then give the clone of the child to the family. Then the clone would then die, so the family would think the child was dead.
Wow, Jesus!
Yeah, no, humans suck in Halo. Humans, they're not good.
At very least, I understand the Warhammer world about doing horrible stuff like that. It's a horrible place. The Halo world, I didn't think it was so ass. Oh man,
the Halo universe kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I'm actually curious
do you want to know why?
Origin, because I know humans were just kind of doing their thing for a long time till they ran into the Covenant.
Yeah, so Spartans were created to put down human dissonance in rebel factions.
Got it.
Yep, they were made to shoot civilians and rebels.
Yep. Okay,
that's why in the universe people don't like Spartans.
Yeah. But then when the wars happened,
then some genocidal alien race came and tried to wipe humanity out. And then some cool guy named John saved the day, not by being the best, just by being the luckiest. Because he actually is not the best Spartan. He was just the luckiest one. That is his power of being lucky.
So, I wanted to mention a Kickstarter. That is it out now? Yes, it's come out, and it is for for Boss Monster, which I think
that is a fucked up link.
It did not work.
Fucked up link.
I mean, it worked.
Whatever.
It redirects correctly, but I don't know how you copied that. But that did.
I just copied and pasted from the URL area, so I don't know why it broke like that.
I'll get you the proper link that won't break, so you can put it in the description if
Yeah,
that's a
I
thing you
mean,
do on
Thank
your-
you.
Here, this is the link that won't break.
Yeah, so basically, what happens when this happens is like there's a query involved.
Yeah.
Probably how you came to find it or something.
I technically at this point in time looked up Google because I had a different website originally that mentioned it, so I just Googled the Kickstarter then.
Box
Yeah,
is
honestly-
awesome though.
I know.
Yes.
I kind of almost want it just for this.
So
one.
this is an update on the original boss monster with the new box. It's got a bigger, badder box, a new town board, a solo mode if you want to play solo, a little bit of updates here and there to the gameplay. So yeah, Boss Monster is a really interesting series. If you've ever played that before, where you take on the role of a boss monster creating a dungeon and then luring heroes in and murdering the shit out of them. And whoever murders a certain amount of heroes first wins. That's it. And sometimes you get smacked by heroes if they get to you. But yeah, it's definitely a fun game. I've always enjoyed it. It's interesting that we're getting like a revamp of the original and an upgrade too, because it has been a number of years since the first one came out. I think
Been a hot minute.
2013 was the original when it came out.
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So 11 years ago was when the first version came out. So having this like new edition of the first one, updated a little bit with more stuff, and it's the SNES box. That's what it is. I'm sorry, it really is.
It is an NES box, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not NES.
Super Nintendo box. It really is. It's funny because they call it Super Boss Monster then, because God damn you, Nintendo. That's what you did for SNES. Just said Super on the front of everything.
That's exactly what they did.
God damn it. But otherwise, Games is a pretty good company. I think I've talked to them a number of times over the years. I don't remember if I had someone on... I think we had someone on the show years ago when we were doing a lot more guests and stuff. So they're pretty reliable. And yeah, it's funded if you're interested. This might be a chance to check out Boss Monster. I can highly recommend it as a very fun game. And this might be the new definitive version of it. So yeah.
True.
Okay. Cool. Hey, we've got so let's take a little bit. Why don't we do our weekend tabletop, and then we'll do the deeper discussion table, just because we'll see how time goes, because I want to make sure we don't go, if we get caught up on our weekend tabletop, we don't get too far behind.
Yeah.
So did anybody do anything on Saturday evening last night after the show?
No, I went to bed.
Mm-hmm. How about Sunday then?
I had a game Sunday.
Same.
We had a game.
Are on horrific undead planet.
Ooh, horrific.
We went and beat up some mummies because they looked at us funny and they were assholes. They got their butts kicked, and then we went to an evil castle where we had a Dark Souls ass corridor with just a man at the back of it, and as soon as someone walked forward, that man ran at us. We fought him. Our dwarf monk continues to be suicidal, and almost died yet again. But we won somehow. And we had to retreat because someone lost like over 50 HP, and I don't have enough healing spells to fix that.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
We're getting Cell in next session, so we might have a wizard.
Might have more HP pool between the characters.
Yeah, we might have a wizard we can shove in front now.
Just in case,
We actually have a ranged character instead of a monk, a melee rogue, a paladin, and a bonk cleric.
Bonk cleric. Well, sounds like a good direction for the team, at least. Maybe to make it a little bit more livable.
No, I'm pretty sure that monk's gonna die next session.
Shame.
I'm not gonna. I don't ever prep Revivify because I think it's a useless spell. If you die, you die. It's not my fault.
We had Joe's.
Revivify is a third level,
Revivify is a 3rd level spell. 1 minute. If you die, I can resurrect you. If you died, you're weak, and that's your fault.
We had Joe's game, correct?
Yes.
Yes. What the hell did we do in Joe's game?
We basically fought a bunch of cranium rats.
We did. We fought through cranium rats, and we found out the basement that was infested with cranium rats, someone had tunneled into the thing, so we dropped down in the tunnels, and we don't know enough about Sigil.
Did you find more rats down there? Was it a rat tunnel?
No,
so
it was...
rats. That's apparently how the rats got in, we assume.
Yeah.
But, basically,
like weird cleaners of Sigil who work for the goddess of the place.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, basically the people who repair, upkeep, build new buildings, whatever, is like this weird silent mute race of creatures.
I played Mass Effect. They're just the keepers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And we ran into them, and they were apparently in the tunnel.
And they work directly for the person who rules Sigil, so it's kind of weird.
Basically, do not harm them because the queen will punish you.
Yeah, Lady Pain. And it's sort of like, why are you here and doing this?
I don't think they were doing it. I think they were there for a different reason. I don't think they were the ones who dug the tunnel personally.
I don't know. It's weird. We'll find out, hopefully, but it was a weird discovery.
Hopefully. Yeah, and they can't speak. And Tantus tried to pretend to be a pretend to be a ghost with invisibility, and they were just all like, I don't know what's going on. They went to leave, so I'm like, fine, I'll step in because I'm not invisible.
Has a grinding gear-esque evil wizard shown up that just combines things together, but they're okay with it because they like being combined together.
We are still in Sigil. There could be a guy there. It's the multiverse.
Has Joe's self-insert character showed up yet?
No, he might not have one because he just loves Sigil, and that might be his self-insert character.
Honestly, fair. Just the city of Sigil.
I call it Sigil. It's Sigil. God damn it.
Oh, I thought it was Sigil.
No, it's not. I don't believe it's Sigil. I think it's Sigil.
It's something like that. I think that's correct. I never pronounce it correct anyway.
I've never.
He loves the city. The city is his self-insert character because he loves the city.
You know what? Fair. I respect it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. It's interesting. We're on a storyline, sort of now, maybe. So we'll see. Did anybody do anything on Monday?
I had River started a game on Monday.
Oh yes, River. That's right. I'm sorry.
You're late.
I was late. I was just.
You were late to the game and to your orientation of the school.
Monday and Tuesday were so busy for me.
Okay, yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Apparently it is Sigil, and that is the official pronunciation.
Yep. I know I wasn't crazy. We're at magic school, baby.
Yeah. There was apparently a party, and I'm like, I'm not a responsible drinker.
Invited to a party by the graces of existing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and River's like, you're drinking buddies, but I'm like, I'm a responsible drinker. So I feel like I met some people, befriended them, and then like realized they're terrible drinkers and just watch after them.
Designated driver.
I really am.
You were. We and by we I mean Lynn and I ruined a woman's life at that party.
Mm-hmm. I tried to help her, and it was funny, and it didn't help.
Yeah, I think it's just the fox. So we went to a party at college, at Magic College.
Yeah.
Where the game is set.
And in the country, there is like a nobility that's kind of like, I would say it's sort of more like very British royalty or Japanese royalty. Or
they don't really have power.
They don't have power, but they're very still recognized and important in the mindset of the country. And this girl was basically like, so, hit on you?
Bothering a dude. Mm-hmm. And Lynn's character went up to try and stop it, and then I just kind of snuck around through the crowd and cast a prestidigitation to make it smell like she ripped a big fart. And then she was talking to the super important dude.
I tried to help her out by actually farting and casting thaumaturgy to make it really loud.
So we basically ruined a woman's life.
I'm sorry, my character.
Fought a werewolf 5 minutes later.
My isekai character, because I am technically isekai.
Yeah, Lynn also like savagely destroyed
her verbally. Yeah, like My backstory is I'm still from Bumblefuck Nowhere. I have no
got
idea
hit
how.
by a truck and showed up here.
I have no idea how royalty works anyway, or nobility. So, like,
I'm a person.
I'm a paladin, but I don't know much
I'm a
still.
bard. Then we fought a werewolf.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes later, and by thought I mean lightning cast moonbeam, and then the encounter ended.
It was the one enemy. Moonbeam
We
was
got
perfect.
stuck transforming. And then you beat him with a chair.
I did beat him with a chair. Down, bad dog, bad.
And then apparently my attempt at information gathering was taken by the group of, man, you just met that dude, why are you flirting with him?
I didn't think that, but then again, I don't know what's going on half the time. It's appropriate to the character. I'm learning in school. I will learn.
You are in school. You're also a freak.
Yeah. Anyway, anybody do anything Tuesday? What's
No, I
Tuesday
didn't.
No.
I'm enjoying trying out someone else as a GM. I have to say, like, it's good to get some variety. We had Crimson Queen on Wednesday, which should be up tomorrow, with a small caveat at the front of it that yes, I screwed up the sound again, but like at least this time, I think we've discovered the reason why, and it should be better.
Yes, thankfully I know about sound, and I realized that I should double check that you have a certain setting set on. Because basically there's a sound setting where there's two types of like sound drivers on Windows. One's called Microsoft Media Environment (MME), and the other one's like Window Driver or something, WMD or something like that. Anyway, WDM, WMD, something like that. Oh, I think it's WDM, it's Windows Driver Media or something like that. Anyway, but basically, MME is the old one, and if something goes wrong with it, it crashes. So you have to basically restart it to get it working again.
It turns out
I made sure
my wire that is plugged into the top of my computer, when I accidentally knock it because I'm walking around or trying to grab a kitten who's trying to slip into something bad, it causes it to like jostle just enough to reset.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it breaks the whole environment. So I made sure I told them to double check that, because I at least know a bit about sound. So hopefully that shouldn't happen again.
So theoretically it shouldn't. I'll watch it for a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully no more sound problems. Fortunately, it was a lot of combat this last Wednesday, so you don't really need me saying anything.
Wasn't really any important lore dump or anything.
And by the time there would have been lore dump, I had sound back.
I caught it. Yeah.
I was actually looking to do it post the break, though, too. I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, I didn't realize it had broken at the beginning of the session.
Nice.
Yeah, he was getting attacked by a lot of cats, so that's probably what did it.
They just wanted to show up and bother me and be adorable.
Yeah. We beat up a evil lady.
Yeah. She became undead, and then you beat her up
beat
again.
her up some more.
Yeah. Good times.
Then I cured the leg.
Yeah, and you could every time. I'd say like every bit of artwork of that type of undead, it makes it look like it's incorporeal, and it's not. And I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's really it's really weird. It's not an incorporeal creature.
Yeah, they just they make it look like it. So plague's been cured. There'll be some downtime, which we'll take care of, and then next time.
Yeah.
You know, turns out
Queen's gone a little crazy.
Queen's gone a little crazy. Not
She's
sure
got a
why.
demon possession or something.
Yeah.
She's just evil, or she's a demon.
Look, it's one or all of the above. You know, maybe she was evil to begin with, and demon possession and takeover has brought out more of that evil. You know, made it worse.
It's a real shame that in about 2 to 3 books we're gonna march in there and kill her.
Yeah. I feel like there is, like, that's definitely the main path that probably things will go on. But I did leave it open that if you wanted to try something different.
I can find something different, sure, but I feel like there's no redeeming this lady.
I mean, that's the other thing is, like, unfortunately, a lot of the actions
We
she's
could
taking.
save her. Is she worth it, though? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards it. There isn't a lot of, like, is it worth it to help her out?
Does she deserve being saved? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny, because, like, I'm now real curious when this happened, because she was...
That's also
like,
when I'm curious. When the fuck did she go insane?
Well, like, when did she make a deal with something?
Because we met her, and she was, like, weird but fine.
She was grieving, and she was incompetent, and she was fine. And then, like, after things started to happen, a lot of the Grey Maidens and a lot of this other stuff.
I will tell you.
We'll find out one day.
I will tell you something to think about is whether or not this is related to it, but this is a fact. There is a vault of things brought in from the pyramid below that they found.
Also, like, the throne is, like, actually cursed.
Yeah, the throne is actually cursed. Plus, she would have gained access to all the ancient artifacts and stuff.
Right. She would have, and yeah. No, honestly, my character does believe that, like that, and if in the talk, you might find out my character does believe that the queen may be trying to release whatever's in the pyramid or something.
Well, I mean, my
There's some
prediction
interesting
is
things.
the queen sat on that really cursed throne we found in Skulls and Shackles. And that's why it was in the ocean, because after the adventure, our party went and threw it in the shackles or something.
just get rid of it. Farther away we can.
We hired a dwarf to deal with it, you know?
And he just got stuck down there because he's like, man, going around that eye was really tough. I guess I'll just live here now. Oh, hey, we're pirates in this place? Cool. I guess I'm a pirate now.
The collector of all things cursed, that poor dwarf.
That's a storyline. It'll be interesting, though. I'll see how things develop. There are more elements to the story, certainly, and honestly speaking, I'm not gonna lie. The story does assume that you just murder her. The actual canon timeline assumes that.
I mean, I know she's supposed to die because I played a game post this adventure path, and spoilers, she wasn't in it.
Yeah, it's just the thing that, like, from me reading up on it, I can see how circumstantially you could change things with your team. I don't know if you will, or just go for, like, the canon ending kind of thing. It'll be up to you. When we get towards those adventures, you'll have the choice of it, you know?
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, you might discover stuff that's very difficult to find that might make it easier to go for that kind of rescue. But again, like, in the meantime, she's not really doing a lot of great things. So,
a discussion we'll need to have.
Is it worth saving the lady? I can't answer that, because that's a kind of thing of, you have to find out what's wrong with her. Is it she's just mad? Is she just evil? You know, is it a demon possession? Those do, like, things like demon possession or takeover do make it more difficult to be like, we should just kill her, because it's not necessarily her fault. But again, maybe it is. Discussions. Anyway. Did David do anything on Thursday? Well, we didn't have our thing on Thursday. Just because lack of players, and it was a long week for you.
Lack of players and exhausted DM.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a good cleric, and you are of a deity that is set on redemption. So regardless, you might also want to try to capture her alive towards the end. Whether or not that would result in her actually going to the gallows or something like that.
Yes, my question is she a spellcaster?
I have no idea what her class spread is, and honestly speaking,
if she is, I need a pint of her blood.
And she might also just be like, I don't know if she also might be gaining class levels during the adventure kind of thing of, like, you know, the influence of things has caused her to go out and do crazy shit to gain levels or train or something. I don't know. Months are going by, so it's a possibility.
She gains 5 levels of anti-paladin.
God, yeah, man. I think I gotta be honest, she was from Cheliax originally. She was probably lawful evil to begin with, and so, you know, this is not really lawful evil anymore. It's going more just evil, sounds like, but she was starting out.
She's kind of going more neutral to chaotic evil.
Yeah.
She's drifting. Multi-track drifting.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Anything on Friday, then?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that was our week in tabletop. We got have enough time that we can talk a little bit about the topic I had. So I do have a deeper discussion topic that I kind of put together, and it was an interesting one because it comes down to something related to what we... It happens a lot, and certainly it comes up here. If we think about your character and Lightning's characters particularly, even Ada and Condis beliefs in religion in RPGs, because we are displaying it in a way. But the thing is, it's kind of an interesting thing because a lot of the RPG systems have sets of beliefs and religions and stuff like that built into them. And certainly if you're playing something that's set in more of a real-world version of it, even if it goes a little bit more fictional, there are versions of stuff in that. Like, you can certainly play a Christian or Protestant religion. If you're playing in Vampire, there are builds that are people that are like, have true faith and stuff like that. And there are groups that are actually in the vampire world, for World of Darkness, religious. Or in something like Shadowrun, which is a future world, there are versions of the old religions, but there are new ones that have popped up, because of like, oh, hey, magic came back. The actual religion of druids came back too, along with that kind of thing, So that's something to think about. And, it is probably, unfortunately, this kind of thing of, when it's something that's a lot more fictional, I feel like we play with it a lot more. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be, like, super respectful to beliefs and stuff like that in general. It's not necessarily your beliefs, it's your character's beliefs. But it's that kind of thing that it's, as a belief, regardless or not, whether, like, you're necessarily believing it, it does feel like we should be kind of interesting and respectful of its existence a lot more too, and I think that sometimes can be lost on players. If you are let's go for Pathfinder, you're a worshiper of Sarenrae, you certainly can like follow that, but it's that kind of like understanding of what the respect the character would have for that belief in the game world, and displaying it properly is not always easy, I think, too, because it's sort of like it's the information the book gives you is a couple of paragraphs, when in the world setting, it's a complex religions with, like, its own, effectively, like, religious texts and stuff like that. And that's not easy to recreate either, too. So it's this kind of, like, weird juxtaposition of trying to understand where these belief systems are coming from. And, like, how much is overplaying it and how much is not overplaying it. That's the kind of thing that I'm not actually curious about. I always try to, as myself, be respectful and mindful of, like, if I'm playing more of a religious character or character with a set number of beliefs, or if I'm playing someone that isn't really. Like, it has kind of been an interesting challenge playing the Cleric Dryad in your game, Momo, because I unfortunately don't know a lot about the religion, so I'm just trying to be...
One real cool thing about that game and setting, playing, I haven't really written much about the actual religions.
Yeah.
So, just kind of make it up.
Yeah, you're there to play the game, so the game comes before the character. So yeah, you're very right about that, Lightning. But the thing is, like, I feel like it's not that you don't want to overshadow things with the, like, systems of beliefs you have as your character, but I feel like it's that connecting with your character to roleplay your character to a degree,
Yeah. I think, in terms of religion in a world, and I'm looking at a bubble in a fictional world, it comes down to two types of worlds. Worlds where there are living gods, and worlds where there is sort of a background pantheon that maybe is real, maybe isn't, much like real life, where it's kind of up in the air, personal belief, right? In Pathfinder, and to a degree, well, not really to a degree, in Faerun, there's proof gods just exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faerun, Faerun and...
They come down
Larian.
and chill with mortals and hang out and party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the only time you have to, like, you don't have to worry about being, like, respectful of religions in, like, fantasy worlds where all the gods are made up. Now,
Yeah.
you do have to if you are playing in a real setting and playing someone who follows a real religion.
Yeah. Playing in like BTM and you're playing a character that follows a real religion, maybe be a little bit respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that thing of, like, certainly, yes, you can be less respectful for the fantasy religions, but I think it's that idea of, like, if I'm a champion, paladin, cleric, or something like that, that does follow specific beliefs, it's, like, where does that going too much... Is there too much, like, diving into that in that way of doing things?
It becomes a problem if it becomes disruptive to other players.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it. I was going to say, it really
I think that's what, like Lightning's early comment kind of hints to that, you know, it's a game table, keep it to what you be report to the game.
This is something I do. Every character in a world that has gods, I always make a religious character, because a majority of people in a world where there is definitive proof that at the very least incomprehensibly powerful beings exist that in a snap of a finger can change reality, most people are going to worship one of them.
Yeah.
Or multiple. For their own personal gain.
Yeah.
You know, like even if it's like Urgatha because I want to rule on forever as an undead or something.
It's that's the interesting thing that I do have to say. Like, I think I don't know if I talked about it necessarily in any of my videos and stuff, but there's like that's that weird thing of like that country in Galarian that they don't worship the gods. It's not like they don't believe that they're not powerful beings. They just don't believe they're like gods in the fact that they're worshipped. And it's weird. It's a weird juxtaposition because it's like it is a world where you're right. These things are like higher beings that could come down and alter reality. It's like you're denying them, but not. And that's kind of a
here's how you can look at it. Right? Don't look at it as they're atheists. Look at it as like that's just a wizard. That's just a really powerful wizard, and he's an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who think... I mean, here's the thing. You can have someone who basically believes that, oh, the gods aren't going to do anything. I'm not important enough, so I'm just going to do my own thing and become powerful. And maybe if I'm important enough, when I'm important enough for them to care about me, I'll be able to do something like that.
Yeah. And that it also comes down to how gods are designed in like Faerun and Golarion. They're designed as actual people with personalities. In Lighting and I shared settings, we have a pantheon of gods that all have personality. In my personal setting, I don't have gods. Gods are concepts in my personal settings. They're not physical beings. They're a concept of something, of an energy of the universe.
So I would also say, like, the amount you focus on it is also dependent on how much your players care. Like I mean, I know I had some friends, and it's all like they hated any mention of gods because they're all. I played with a group of friends who are those like atheists who are like anti-religion. You know, there's atheists who just don't care, and then there's those that are like anti-religion.
I think it's
you didn't want to. I didn't want to bring it up with them because like I know they would just be all like, fuck the gods. Oh yeah, we're gonna make them pay for
bit
cruelty
on your gods.
Yeah, so it just wasn't worth it because they didn't care beyond being like contrary or whatever. So it depends on like what your players want to an extent. But honestly, if your players are really into role playing, want to really get into the world, including kind of its lore, you can have like things like where it's like, oh, this you see an idol to this god, and you someone walks by it and kneels, and it's like you can play that in and see what your players do, you know.
And I think you can still do more real world settings of stuff too. You know, certainly, you know, World of Darkness is the easy example because there are actual like
it's supposed to be the real world.
Yeah, and there are like actually like major groups in a lot of the various supernatural things that are majorly religious in various ways, you know.
Even in their own like weird ways where it's all like, oh, we worship this old powerful vampire, you know.
Well, like there's the Ashira, who are Islamic vampires and are a major group, or there's like the Celestial Chorus from Mage, who are a group that recognize like they're all of different faiths, but they believe that kind of like it is just the same god they all worship, just a different aspects of it kind of thing. Like, so they they can debate stuff, and it's also like supposed to represent like the overall energy of the universe and to ascend and helping them ascend to a higher being and kind of stuff like that. So it's an interesting take on that kind of like there's still separately ways that they believe things could be worshipped, but it's also that kind of one. And that's a very religious group, the Celestial Chorus, too, because they can come from highly religious backgrounds when they kind of come into this power. And as I said, there are other things. You could just be a true faith vampire, that has faith in some kind of religious thing. And certainly, like, there are plenty of groups that have been that way. And
I mean, you also have the whole animism structure of werewolf. I mean, werewolf is literally just animism, which is a type of worship. It's worshiping the things around you, basically. Yeah, it's a type of religion.
The spirits of the world, and it is. Yeah, you're right. It is an animism version of religion, and it is the entire being of werewolves is the thing too. And so it is an interesting thing because beliefs are deep there in a lot of these places. We're also right that like there is even to your average vampire, there's a pseudo-religious context because the majority of them believe that they come from Cain, as in Cain and Abel, so there is that, context there that exists. And certainly, I think that might be an easier way because you can play it as what, you can believe your own things, but we in the modern world can probably understand how, someone worships or believes something. I think that is an easier thing for a real world setting because, like, I have had a lot of encounters and understand, like, all the different religious people in my life and stuff like that and my own belief systems and can use that combination to figure out how a character that may or may not be religious or have different beliefs would feel because, I guess empathy.
As a writer, you tend to get engrossed and enriched by various sources, and sometimes you do have to write religious characters. So a lot of people, especially like myself, I have done pretty deep research into like actual faith and how people worship and that. So I try to be as respectful as I can when I tend to make religious characters, even though myself I am not a religious person. And I do think if you are playing one, it's kind of just about like being respectful and not shouting God stuff at your player friends all the time, because then it starts grating on people.
And the thing is, and
then you're playing a parody of a religious person at that point.
I could play in a World of Darkness or another game that has connections to our more modern world, a religion of that more modern world, like something that I don't know a lot about. Like I don't know a lot about, Judaism or Islam or even Buddhism. I know some, some kind of Christianity type things and stuff like that because of connections with family more than anything. And I did go to Catholic school for a number of years.
Sorry.
I got kicked out in second grade.
That doesn't surprise me.
This was also...
Look, I have heard that stuff before.
Hey, look, the YMCA thought I was possessed by a demon.
Wait, what? I need to hear this story later.
I've talked to
later.
You, so maybe you are. Maybe that's why you can't reply to messages on Discord, because you're too busy with your demon friend.
I am religious. I grew up in a religious household.
That's fair.
I went to church my entire life.
Nope.
Yeah.
So, and my dad specifically has a degree in world religion, so I actually know a decent amount about religious concepts and stuff. I also went to a Christian college because my dad works there, and I got free tuition.
Hell yeah.
That's very good. And the thing is,
I know.
like,
that's the only reason I went.
Yeah,
and
the thing is, like,
terrible for the degree I wanted, and I didn't finish because of that.
I think what I wanted to say about it was to, like, yes, that's a very good background for, understanding how a religious character would work. And it's sort of like, I can respect a character of a religion without necessarily knowing a whole lot about that religion, but there is that fine line of, like, if you want to be a very religious character, you might have to learn about it a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, like, if you're playing a cleric of a deity in a fantasy game even too, probably read up on your deity a little bit, get an idea about their stuff.
Yeah.
Do like the cursory research into your deity, even if, unless you're like worshiping fucking Besmara who has ascendants.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what to do with this.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things about religion in D&D. It requires you to basically research it. Whether it's in D&D or in real life, to play or interact with it or to run it. It's important to know what you're doing. It does help if you have like a background in it or you read up on just, religious concepts in general. Like how, like why certain rites and stuff exist and why, rituals are done the way they are, and you can use that to make your own. And then you can also, if you're doing a fantasy thing, and so I think it's important to read a lot about it if you're going to incorporate it in your games, even as a player.
Yeah.
And if your players aren't interested in it, don't do it.
I think it's the thing.
Don't focus on it.
Don't focus. Like the thing is, like, I could honestly speaking, like, say, like, I mentioned the Islamic vampires of the Ashira. I'm sure there's really cool stories you could tell focused around there. The thing is, you would definitely want to broach people that would be ready for it, and you might want to do some research if you're going to do a story based on there. Do I need to be a follower of the faith to do a story justice with that? I don't think so, but you do have to respect and understand enough to, make it feel like the real way of doing things, the real way things are set up. And yeah, I will tell you there are some differences with the way that your average person that follows the Islamic faith and the Ashira work. Yeah, it's a group of vampires that, in the canon of the World of Darkness, one of them basically converted with Mahatmas. No, not Mahatma. Fuck God. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna apologize to everybody. My brain breaks with names.
I'm already preparing my twit longer, Tantus.
What?
I'm preparing my twit longer right now. You're canceled.
I'm just bad with names in general.
Are you trying to get Muhammad?
Muhammad. Yes, I was, but I was not saying it correctly, and my brain couldn't. It wasn't functioning right in my head. I'm like, no, I'm not saying the right thing. I want to say the right thing, but brain work bad, no smart.
It's
good.
Demon that lives up there.
Look,
taking up too much space.
It really does. I'm very bad with names in general, and I think, what was it, a couple of times this week that I've just broken and I could not remember a name of something, even though it's like, I should know it, and it just leaves my head. And I'm like, I know this, why can't I remember it?
I actually do want to point out, during the stream with the Magic World, the Magic Plane, where it's like a bunch of like Japanese names, you got a lot of those really well.
I took years of Japanese.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why.
What I call a weeaboo.
I was gonna say. I also think it's partially the amount of anime you watch.
That helps too. You can hear the language, Spirit's Dilemma. But regardless, so that's kind of the storyline of the person that created this group of vampires. So it is classically built on things and a mixture of vampire. It's its own thing, but it connects a lot with that faith. And there are certainly other groups throughout the world that have similar things going on in these modern worlds. And as I said, like, even in like Shadowrun, you can get these that have a lot of like interesting faiths that have popped up, and are based around a lot of our modern ones after 70 years and Magic coming back. But yeah, I think that's.
I will finish this off with a single statement. If you are a DM who wants to use religion heavily in a game, once upon a time, a man wrote a book called Dune, and that man spent a very long time researching Islam and based much of his work on Islam. And it is considered to be one of, I believe, the most accurate media depictions of something based on that faith. So if you do your research, You don't have to be a follower of the faith. You just have to be respectful, do your due diligence, research it, learn about it, and then apply what you know to your fantasy world.
Yeah.
Yep. No, and that's really it. I feel like research is the big. You just need to. Religion is a weird thing, and like it's kind of weird because it's like most of human history, people were religious to some degree, and it's just kind of more recent where it's all like there's a lot of people who just aren't, and it's kind of this thing where it's just like people don't.
There also used to be a lot more
how it
religions
works.
in the world as well.
I think also like something to kind of caveat here too is it's not necessarily like a true religion in the state. It could be a belief system, or like a system of understanding the world, like we talked about with Werewolf, the animism that they have a heavy deal of. It's a belief system of a werewolf character, and it is something that is, we can see some links up with a lot of like animism cultures and stuff like that.
It links with a lot of real world religions,
but it is its own thing still.
Because like, it's just a system of beliefs. I mean, that's people believe that doing this will do like people believe that stabbing a goat and bleeding it will make you no longer sinful, or believe that throwing dust into the air during June will make you lucky. I mean, it's kind of.
I'm not gonna lie, the goat deserved it. That goat was a joke.
No, that goat did nothing wrong.
That's the point. Is it did nothing wrong?
It knows what it did. That goat knows what it did.
Yeah. So I mean, like, in a way, there's very much. I would say religion is honestly, if you really want to like make your own, it really is a system of beliefs, like reasons behind things. A lot of things are also just like, why did this happen? How did the world come to be? It's answering questions that are otherwise unknown. Where do you go when you die?
Yeah.
I mean, if you are doing a religion, it doesn't have to be based on one of the 4 or 5 major ones we have in our world. There are plenty of ancient religions you can look into. Plenty of pagan or East Asian or even Sub-African religions that are not as large as they could be.
Yeah, if you want things that are more unique, you could look more into like Mesoamerican and African. Those have a lot more like unique, smaller religions.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of interesting things out there. It's having these belief systems or beliefs for your characters, whether you're the game master / dungeon master running the game, and it's got story beats that deal with religious aspects or something like that, or it's maybe just you're a player that is devout, but the level of devoutness could also vary too. It could just be like you worship the deity but you're not really like super devout. It could be like, because there's different people that worship in different ways, or there are super devout people, and you can express that. It's just that like, even if you're not super devout, those people that have a religious are still going to be respectful of it, and just kind of remember that, I guess that's to keep in mind.
Yeah, now always remember, my religion is correct, yours is wrong.
True. Actually correct. I have the best opinions, all of you are incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And you also got to remember that those people do exist, so...
Absolutely.
So
those people are.
If you're a GM, it's not going to be inauthentic to include those types of people in the world. Just don't make all of them that way, because actually there aren't that many people who are like that.
Yeah,
there are a lot, but when you
in the grand scheme of things,
together, But overall,
you have to remember. We hear about them more nowadays because of our modern world and social media.
The internet, where we're connected to everyone 24/7.
So, there are those people that are kind of, rude and very forceful about their religious beliefs. We hear them a lot more now.
Yeah.
So,
it's the vocal minority is really what it is.
Yeah, that seems like a good point to leave off of there. I think it was an interesting discussion on an aspect of it that, honestly speaking, I was thinking of it as a topic because, it comes up a bunch in stuff like Pathfinder and D&D, It's just such a subtle thing, though, too, sometimes.
Yeah. for being subtle, it's also very important.
Yeah. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you're a worshiper of, you know, Momo, your character's a worshiper of Pharasma. That is an important part of their character and something that, you know, deals with their kind of belief system.
We'll go. I'm gonna go over the level of devoutness in the party. Right, we got the literal cleric, who is also half angel.
Yes.
Probably the most devout. Then probably one of the Shuanti believes a little bit more in natural spirits and shit. And then you got a Vona who's like, Pharasma's kind of cool. Maybe these guys can help me with my undead problem.
Yeah. I don't know if Tavel has any beliefs.
I think Tavel's religion is narcolepsy. What's the god of sleep in Pathfinder? It's that one.
It might still be Desna. Dreams of sleep and stuff. Like I don't know.
I think that's actually the one Lynn picked.
There's a couple ones that deal with sleep and dreams and stuff.
Dreams and destiny. Maybe not that
one. There are some overlaps between some D&Ds too.
Desna's also another one that comes up.
Avona's not the most devout person.
But again, like, it's part of their character, you know, they're maybe not most devout. They're not the literal cleric who's like,
I'm not actually physically getting my magical energy from a deity.
Yes.
Nor am I part celestial.
I mean, no one knows that about Zardak yet. I don't think Zardak has talked about
I don't think Zardak has ever shown the party her face.
Oh, I keep forgetting Zardak wears like a mask.
Because Zardak wears a mask all the time.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I forgot that too.
Zardak never removes. The mask stays on.
The mask stays on. I mean, honestly, Imperiums are very hard to tell apart sometimes from your average person. Say for, like, you know, small things that might be hidden.
Sorry, what did you just say to me?
Imperiums, because that's what they're called now.
Sorry, that's not what they're called in Pathfinder 1E, Tantus.
I did. They're changed now.
Called Asmar in 1E.
I know, Imperiums and Cambions. I'm gonna remember it and try to, like, correct myself. Because if not, I'm gonna, like, forget goddamn if I do some second E and stuff too.
You know, like a couple hundred years before that terminology changed.
It's like 5. It's in-game time-wise. It's like 5 years.
You know, we've still got some time where we can say the incorrect things.
5 years.
It's also way more than 5 years. There's a couple of adventure paths after this.
Fine.
I thought it was like 100.
No, it's actually 10 years because you're like 7814 and 7824 is Pathfinder 2nd edition. It actually is like 10 years in the future.
Wow, that is not long.
Yeah, I mean, because everything happens. Because everything in first edition happens in like the span of a year.
It's all happened because goddamn Eridan died.
Because the way they fucking do adventure paths is like the year they're released is the year it takes place plus a certain number.
Yes.
So you have multiple world-ending threats happening in 1 year, sometimes in 1 month.
That's why it's like 7824 now. It's like, and the original, like, it's been like a decade since the it's
timelines is kind of bad.
It's like either 48 or 78 plus the actual year it is or something like that. I think it's actually 48, but you know.
They all happen, and I think the canon endings are always the most neutral ending.
Yeah. Okay, it's 4724 because yes, it's 2024 for us. Yep. So just add 47 and then the year it is, and that's when things take place. So whenever the original adventure path, Rise of the Rune Lords took place, that's when it all started.
Yep.
And then all the adventure paths have taken place.
Started.
Yeah. It happened in 4707 it started in. So it has literally been 17 years and all these adventure paths have taken place.
All these world-ending threats happen in the span of less than 20 years.
Yeah. Galarian.
Well, I mean, thankfully they have been making less world-ending threats. Like
Galarian is like a Final Fantasy world.
And yes, the thing is, yes, I agree. They've been making things that are a lot less world-ending and more just sucks for a region of the world, which, you know, yeah, that's a little better. Hello, kitty. I'm going to grab you and show you off on camera. Oh, you jumped up there. Froggy.
Yeah,
I still vote that we
things have been going
do.
to shit since 1406 when the god Arrowed ended.
We should
46.
do the Winter Adventure Path one day, just because I want to kill Rasputin in a D&D game.
Winter Adventure?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Reign of
there's-
Winter, you
before
kill
that-
Rasputin.
Reign of Winter, you find out that our
Reign of
version of
Winter,
Earth is
you-
part of the multiverse.
You go to World War I Russia and kill
Yeah.
Rasputin, who is like a level 15 oracle.
So, though, like, you can figure out what the current year in the Pathfinder storyline is, you would add, like, about 100 years to that, and that's where our timeline would be matching up with time with dimensional travel to
It's
Larian.
very dumb.
Yeah. Like, but you can go to Earth,
Earth just exists. You can go there. There's an adventure path.
which
Part
makes
of
it canonically linked to Faerun then, because Faerun's linked to Earth too.
So in D&D lore,
Yeah.
it's where Mordenkainen and Elminster hang out. They hang out at Greenwood's house. That's canon. That's in a book. That is real.
They
Really
hang out.
is.
Wait, they hang out at.
They hang out.
on
They hang
Earth?
out with Ed Greenwood.
Yep, they hang out with Ed Greenwood.
On Earth.
Uh-huh.
Ed Greenwood is
Greenwood?
also just, I believe, also is Elminster.
Mm-hmm. Just just
Oh, okay.
it's
This guy. I think I've seen this guy.
yeah. Ed Greenwood would be familiar if you've seen him before, And, well, I don't know if I would recognize Master Super.
Imagine
I know.
like an active wizard.
We'll leave it there though today with that kind of golden nugget of lore that the 6 degrees of separation that the Faerun's connected to Galarian
And
through the
you're right.
multiverse.
when you really think
Okay.
about it,
Hold on.
and you break it down, it's all just Dune. Everything is Dune.
A game
Uh-huh.
where you go back and forth between Galarian, Earth, but it's World of Darkness Earth, and D&D
I
favorite.
think I'd rather set myself on fire.
That'd be an interesting adventure to tell.
You'd probably just have to have one system and just use the settings for everything else, because if not, it would just blow up. Because
Yeah,
I've
but
dealt
I
with
still think it'd
multiple
be
characters.
interesting.
Oh yeah, having
I
multiple.
think it'd be
You could do something with multiple versions of character
that'd be a
sheets and
fun. That'd be a
incarnations.
fun. I'm just saying that'd be a fun story to tell, like something going on between all of these.
Yeah, short campaign or one shot. Well, maybe not one shot, but like like a 4
I
or
mean,
5
it'd have
session
to be-
campaign. Go
Yeah.
gotcha.
And it ends by you ending, going into the future into Shadowrun.
It ends and you go to Dune.
To Dune, yeah. Everything ends with Dune.
It ends, you wake up on a cart in a snowy environment, and a bearded man asks you how you're doing.
It's fucking Skyrim.
And then we play the Skyrim board game. And that's how it ends.
Let's give some shout
Coming to
outs.
twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm.
The Momo, you've had the shout out.
Well, I think I've done enough damage.
That's a lot of damage. I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter. DiamondWyrm is spelled spelled with a worm is spelled with an Y. Everyone knows that. Yeah, I'm also at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and DiamondWyrm and Blue Sky. There's a weird thing where it's like it has
I
dot
shout out
something,
my
dot
blue sky,
something.
but no one needs to follow me on social media.
I should finish setting that up.
Honestly, I post, I retweet or repost or whatever pictures of dragons, and when I go live, that's pretty much all that appears on my feed.
I just talk about going live and share kitten pictures. So, which I think I have some more of. Because it's always wonderful. I also have pictures of local flooding today.
I make a tweet, and then these lovely bots tell me to look at a link in their bio in my comments.
See? Kittens. Is it gonna... There we go.
Well, first
Aww. They're adorable. Yeah. Anyway, they're very good kitties. And they're not trying to destroy everything. Okay, mine, if you're looking for my schedule, I stream most days of the week, say for Sundays. If you're looking for tabletop stuff, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are my normal ones, with Saturday being a backup day in case I missed one of the other days. I talk about tabletop topics. Crimson Queen, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. EST. Check that out. That's the Pathfinder First Edition live play we talked about. This show, every Saturdays at 6 p.m. And, yeah, all the tabletop stuff goes up on YouTube. And where you can also see it over there if you're not catching us live on Twitch. And I do also do some gaming streams on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, but that's only if people want to see it. And social media, Discord, Twitter, also linked in my bios / description videos. Okay, I think we'll get going, and I'm going to say to everyone out there, have a great rest of your Saturday and weekend, and hope to see you next time for Tabletop, Crimson Queen, or anything else we do. And until then, farewell to you all.